Hello, friends. We continue talking about technologies which are forbidden for ordinary people. What do you know about the core of your car? Its engine. What is it? And what could it be like if not the strategy of repression of technology? We'll start from those which are not breakthrough. These are just modifications of engines that work on combustible fuel. For example, here is an internal combustion engine of orbital type. And here is Sky Active X from Mazda, in which the methodology of diesel engine combustion is applied with the synchronization of the petrol engine. And here is a rotary engine for the development of which the U.S. Department of Defense was allocating money. Here is another unusual one. The construction with reciprocating pistons is used in it. Emissions of this engine are 30% less than of similar engines. Nonetheless, its concept can't be called fundamentally new. All of these innovative solutions, at least as they look at first sight, are just a polish of old technologies invented more than 100 years ago. Maybe engines working without burning fossil fuels are just a fantasy, and they haven't been created yet? No, everything has already been created. Let's start with generators, which allow to split water into oxygen and hydrogen. It is the so-called HHO generator, or an engine on the water, which we have already told you about on our channel. Here it is, a typical HHO generator consisting of many plates that have no more than a millimeter of thickness, which are put into the water. Hydrogen and oxygen are produced when voltage is supplied to this device. This is just an electrolysis. One person who lives in Baikonur City states that he has a similar generator which heats up his house. Besides that, it can be used in cars. You can find many videos on YouTube about the way how you can make such generators by yourself. There is an even more interesting discovery. In 1938, just think about this date, a note was published in the journal Techniques of Youth about the invention of a device which transformed water into oxygen and hydrogen under the influence of sun rays and under the process of photolysis. The professor, Otto Mohr, applied obtained hydrogen as the fuel for gas stoves and for heating the house. Thanks to this invention, he has totally refused to consume gas from the utility network since no other expenses were necessary for the work of this installation, contrary to the electrolysis in plates from the previous example. Here is another example from the Russian news. A scientist from Stavropol has assembled a simple installation for heating his industrial premises, which works on waste oils. And this powerful installation also heats hangars by splitting water. There are a great number of similar installations. Different enthusiasts create various things all over the world. And why do you think these inventions are not widespread among people? Any ideas? Maybe because all these developments will prevent oil corporations from squeezing the juices from the population of the planet, which is planted on an oil needle. And here is an even more interesting technology, an engine working on air. No, you heard right. We can also imagine a gas engine which works on hydrogen split from water. After all, the alteration of the internal combustion engine to gas one is not a know-how for a long time. This has been in practice. There are many cars on any road which work on methane. Yet, an engine working on air seems like something fantastic or crazy. But here it is. An ordinary inventor has constructed such an identified flying object from usual plastic bottles filled with water and pumped with plenty of air. But he decided to move further and created an enhanced version of the engine. He filled a carbon tank with normal rainwater and pumped ordinary air in it under great pressure. And look what happened. He assembled a monster which overcomes the speed of 100 kilometers an hour. And how fast do you think it does that? In just over half a second. Its maximum speed is 261 kilometers an hour. Do you still believe that you can't drive on air? So, what is the secret of automobiles on compressed air? This smiling man has already invented and assembled a current production car which makes it possible to drive on compressed air at a distance of 400 kilometers with a speed of 100 kilometers, having only filled one tank of compressed air. This is what this miracle car looks like. It is small, light, compact, with compressed air tanks on its bottom. A carcass space frame plastered in plastic. It is seen how several quite small tanks with compressed air are compactly settled. How much energy and financial expenses do you think are needed in order to fill this or another mechanism with compressed air? Actually, not much at all. Just imagine, the owners of oil corporations face impressions if they are told that cars can ride on air. Yes, that's all right. They are also inventive guys. They will just introduce the long-awaited air tax. By the way, the similar serial car of the company Tata Motors in India has already been released. It developed a speed of up to 100 kilometers an hour and can drive up to 130 kilometers. Yes, this is less than indicators shown a little earlier, but still, it's quite a working technology which will allow to drive for free if to refine and develop it. Or is it again a so-called closing technology, which will not be promoted in the nearest future? However, there is a breakthrough technology which will definitely be allowed to use all over the world. Meet the car on wood. By the way, many people have already been using it. There are even ready sketches of engine installations, for example, for old Shestyorka or Kopeka. But they have their inconveniences. And this is not even registration in the traffic police. You just need to wait 20 minutes when everything is warming up, cracking up, and the gas generator is filled with carbon monoxide. And now, let's go to high-tech Japan. A motorcycle called Simo has been invented there. It has a speed of more than 100 kilometers on a magnetic motor, and its price was $2,000. Now let's talk about the gear on both wheels. One wheel is with a conventional electric motor, and the second is with a magnetic one based on the Minato technology. First, the motorcycle accelerates, and it needs battery for the operation of electrical circuits, for the formation of pulses, and for the control of the position of the magnet. However, it is still much more effective than its equivalents which work on petrol or energy. So, what services as fuel for this motorcycle? As it appears to be, it is a magnetic field. A cheap economy car can be made in this format. An accurate principle of its work was described much earlier in the writings of the Russian inventor Svintinsky. Moreover, the patent for this invention was formatted in Russia as early as in 1997. All in all, it was also prohibited despite the fact that it was beautiful and effective. Kurt Vonnegut, a famous writer and sociologist, once said, "We are all addicted to liquid fuels." And along with this, now it is obvious that hydrocarbon-powered energy has exhausted itself. According to the forecast of many reputable scientists, the world's energy consumption will reach 25 billion tons in oil equivalent by 2050, and this will lead humanity to an obvious catastrophe. Meanwhile, most of us imagine a cold nuclear fusion reactor as something related to technologies of a distant future, and the operating models, which are miniature atomic reactors that are absolutely safe for human ecology, were assembled and are still assembled not only in the hypothetical laboratory of Tony Stark, but also in other places in the world. Academicians, scientists, and ordinary experimenters, enthusiasts make them too. Despite low cost and ecological footprint of such energy, industrial developments have not been discussed as of today. One of the enthusiasts who tried to give cheap energy of cold fusion to humankind was Eugene Malo, a reputable American engine researcher, master of science, founder of the non-commercial foundation New Energy Found Asia. In his book Fire from Water, he described the Fleischmann-Pons experiment in detail, which he reproduced on the production of cold fusion energy on his desk. Being an inventive person, Mallow prepared and sent a nuclear fusion memorandum in the White House in the name of Bill Clinton. He received a short answer, a formal reply to his memorandum in November 1993. In 2004, Eugene was beaten to death next to his porch. A few decades ago, Lev Maximov, the Novosibirsk nuclear physicist, proposed a breakthrough project that could lead Russia out of the upcoming crisis and ensure its leadership in the global energy rating. Maximov proposed to upgrade and substitute nuclear stations working on traditional fuel with underground thorium stations. The usage of safe thorium instead of uranium removes the danger of radioactive contamination in case of possible accidents. At the same time, it resolves the global ecological problem, the utilization of spent nuclear fuel. A thorium nuclear reactor with thermal elements of a fundamentally new design without rebooting can operate for up to 50 years. A uranium reactor contaminates the planet with nuclear waste every 1.5 to 2 years. The U.S. Energy Department's proposed millions to Lev Maximov as to the holder of the patent if he agreed to participate in the development of American energetics. According to the Uranium Gore-Chernomyrdin Treaty, all stocks of thorium uranium, 500 tons, which were necessary for the launch of the thorium reactor, had to have been given to the U.S. by 2013. The treaty was estimated to have a value of $12 billion, while the real cost of strategic fund of the country was $8 trillion. In 1999, a second attempt was made on Lev Nikolaevich, while it's only the lack of professionalism of attackers that saved his life. But other co-workers from Maximov's group were less lucky. All physicists who worked with him have died under strange circumstances. When it concerns absolute power, such a trifle as human life does not count, and cheap energy is just a sphere of influence in this case. The body of 57-year-old Don Willey, a famous biophysician laureate of the Lasker Prize for Fundamental Medical Research, was found in the Mississippi River in December 2001. The police said it was an intentional crime, but the FBI requalified the main version, saying that it was an accident due to a fall from the bridge. At the same time, there was no explanation as to how this was possible with the existing 2-meter fence. Dr. Willey was one of the leading experts on anthrax, Ebola, and the AIDS virus. In 2001, 4 people died from anthrax spores, which were in poisoned letters. And at that time, Dr. Willey was one of the few who could check the origin of the powder with a high degree of probability. However, 3 Pakistanis were quickly appointed guilty to be responsible for the incident. Nobody will be able to estimate the probability of a simple coincidence. But only in December 2001, 6 other well-known geneticists and microbiologists passed away under strange circumstances. Well, people have created a not-too-friendly world by themselves. Or maybe not by themselves, and someone helped them and changed human society on purpose. After all, these and many other deaths and persecutions of the best representatives of humanity are so similar in their plots that they exclude the possibility of a simple coincidence. Sooner or later, those who damage the planet should become misfits on it, instead of being the most respectable people as they are now. We are eager for such changes happening as soon as possible. Are we able to speed it up somehow? Yes, if we join our efforts in the search of truth. And, of course, if we share this video with our friends. We are grateful for your likes and comments. See you soon!